Hello, welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all of the crafty goodness that I have been up to over the past couple weeks. Today is April 23rd, 2021, and I have a very sock heavy episode for you this week. It's only going to be knitting this week around. I'm going to try and get back into my alternating knitting and cross stitch videos. We will see how that goes. But I thought I would start today with a knitting one because I have lots of knitting that I have been doing lately and I have some finished objects. But before we jump on into that, a couple different little things. First of all, the places you can find me on the internet are at birchandlilyfiber.com, as well as Instagram at birch.and.lily, and then Ravelry and Lovecrafts will also be linked down below. My knitting patterns are available there and on my website, and yeah. I think that's about all for where you can find me. And then the other thing that I did want to say quickly, if you missed my last episode, which was a Felici yarn tour, I did mention that I have a date for my yarn destash. If you are interested in any of the yarn that I am destashing, this coming Saturday, August 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Instagram stories, I will be destashing all of the yarn that I have said I was going to get rid of in that video. Actually, one second here, I have the basket with me, or bag rather. This bag is full of yarn that I am going to be destashing on my stories. So yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the instructions for the destash will be available in those stories. And if you don't have Instagram, you are still able to watch those stories, so don't worry. You should be able to participate totally just fine. So yeah, that is all I have for announcements. Let's jump on in to some finished objects. The first one I have here is my pair of winter rose socks, a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And they're done, and they're so pretty. I love them so much. So last episode I did have the one sock completed, and I had just a little bit, as you can see here, left on the foot of this sock, and now they're both done. So really happy with these. I'm definitely going to try and venture out more into like knitting self-striping socks with a pattern. It was something I never really wanted to do before because I thought it was just too busy. But now that I see these, I don't think it's too busy at all. So let's see. This yarn here is from MudPunch. This colorway is called Full Moon Break. And then this mini skein here, I couldn't tell you where it's from. It was in my basket of random mini skeins that I have left over from stuff. But I do really like the contrast that it shows with the other colors in the sock. And then let's see, I cast on 56 stitches for these socks. I did a 1x1 twisted rib for 15 rounds. Did I say I cast these on 2.25 millimeter needles? I don't know. That's a US 1. Everything flew out of my brain the moment I said it. But yeah, 56 stitches for these. And how many pattern repeats did I do before the leg? 1, 2. So I did 8 repeats of the pattern before I inserted the called for heel flap and gusset, and then continued to work the sock until the toe. And I just did a wedge toe on these, nothing special. But I'm really happy with these, and I wish the weather would get colder because it's 32 degrees Celsius here right now and much too warm for socks. But I love these, I'm very happy with them, and I'm excited that I finally finished something after what feels like forever. And on the topic of a finishing streak, I do have another pair of socks finished. Do not mind that they don't fit the blockers. I forgot to grab my medium-sized blockers. But this is a pair of flower crown socks. This is a pattern from Lindsay Fowler of Lost and Fond. They have the cutest little bauble cuff. And I did a typical slip stitch heel flap and gusset. I believe that's what the pattern calls for. And yeah. I substituted the toe on this. The pattern has a rounded toe included, but I just substituted for a wedge toe. I'm happy with how that is, minus the fact that when it's not pulled back on the blocker, it looks a little silly, but it looks totally fine on a foot. It's just because these blockers are too small. I guess I could put them on it like that. 64 stitches for these socks, also on 2.25 millimeter needles. And obviously I didn't do any sort of leg for them. What I do for my shorty socks at least is I knit the cuff, and I usually only do about 5 to 8 rounds for my cuff. I think I did 5 for this one, not including the bobbles. And then I go straight into my heel flap. And that gives me a really well-fitting pair of shorty socks. They sit kind of right at your ankle, like you would expect any ankle sock to fit, basically. At least that's how they fit for me. And I've been really happy with how they've been turning out. So yeah, last time I had kind of just started the second sock here. So I finished all of this up since last episode. And yeah, very happy with these. This is a pair of Christmas gift socks. I think it's the third pair actually, now that I say it, that I have in my little drawer, I guess, of Christmas gifts that are ready to go. So I have another pair to go in there, which is exciting. I love these. I love the bobble cuff. You will see the 2 new pairs of socks that I cast on don't have this bobble cuff. I needed a bit of a break from it because I swear every pair of socks I've been casting on lately has it. But I do love it a lot. I think it's really cute, and it just adds something really fun. And it looks, I don't know, when you stretch it out on not the ankle, I guess it would be the ankle, but when you stretch it out on your leg, it looks really sweet. So this yarn here is a one-of-a-kind. This is something I dyed up myself just on some bare yarn I had kicking around. So I didn't write down the formula for this, unfortunately. I thought I would use it up for some gift socks because it's still beautiful yarn and it's still definitely usable. So pair number 2. So like I said, this episode is all socks. I cast on 2 new pairs of socks that I've been working on. They are both little shorty, like ankle type socks. I've really been enjoying knitting those lately. This first pair here is in this really cute bag from Studio in the green. And let's see, I am knitting these up. If you watched the last podcast episode, not destash, I had shown a couple skeins of yarn that I had wanted to wind up and get stuff started with. This is one of those. This is from Maker's Haven. It is a stellina base. I don't know if you can tell that. Maybe if I hold it close. I don't know. But this is a stellina base, and I'm blanking on the colorway. The Chirp of Crickets. So this is an 80/20 that has dog fur on it. But it's just a really pretty like greeny gray base with speckles of blue and purple. Very fun. And I cast on a pair of Bear Mountain socks. This is a pattern by Pip and Pin. P-I-P and Pin. It's a hard word to say, at least for me. But I cast these on this afternoon, actually, on a pair of 2.25 millimeter needles, which is a US 1, and I cast on 64 stitches for this pair of socks. So, like I said, they are shorties. Don't have tons done, but the heel flap is in, and I would say the gusset is about half decreased on these, so halfway down to the 64 stitches again from the extra stitches that the heel flap added. Let me just get these on the needles in a way that I can show the pattern. So I just did a 1x1 twisted rib for these, and then that is the really cute pattern. I quite like these. Very easy repeat. I don't have it memorized just yet, but I feel like I will be able to. And I feel like that's always something important to say because I love if I can memorize the pattern and not have to stare at it all the time. But it's really neat. There's some elongated stitches in there, some wrap stitches. I think this pattern calls them a cluster stitch, but same deal. And I think they're really cute. So enjoying these. For the cuff on this pair, I did 5 rows of 1x1 twisted rib, if that gives you a little bit of an idea what that would look like. Actually, let me put it on the sock blockers and then you can maybe kind of tell where it would sit on a foot. Yeah, so it sits basically right at the ankle. I like it a lot. I think it's a really good length. Because hand knit socks are warm, and while I do like and enjoy like a mid-calf length pair of hand knit socks, these are really quite nice as well. And they take less time to knit, and I feel like I can do more, which I also like. But yeah, like I said, 2.25mm needles, 64 stitches for these. This is a typical slip stitch heel flap and gusset. The pattern does call for a fish lips kiss heel, if I remember correctly, but I always like to substitute in for a heel flap. I just find it fits my foot and the feet of people that I knit socks for the best. So yeah, really fun, enjoying these. So that is new cast on number 1. And then in this bag from Birch Grove, I have cast on another pair of shorty socks. This yarn is from Peepaloo Fields. This colorway is called Dahlia, or Dahlia, however you so desire. I wish it wasn't blowing out so much, but it's a really pretty pink with some deeper purpley magenta-y speckles and like lime green. I don't know, it's really unique. I like it a lot. And I cast on, this is another pattern from the In Bloom sock set by Summerly Knit Co. Design Co. Summerly Design Co. Sorry about that. Hopefully my camera didn't move around too much. I got a low battery notice, and it's the way I'm set up. I had to move my whole camera to get rid of it. So let's see. This pattern is from the In Bloom sock set from Summerly Design Co. I did previously knit another pattern from this sock set. I can't remember what they're called, but they're that really pretty bright bubblegummy blue pair of socks. So this is the second pattern in that sock set. These are called the Pretty Song socks. And once again, like I said, I'm knitting a pair of shorties, and I'm honestly about the same spot as the previous pair I just showed you. These look a little bit larger, mostly because this patterning on the top is a little bit looser. There's less ribbing in it, less purl stitches, so it doesn't look as sucked in. But these I also cast on 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles, US 1, and I did 5 rows of a 1x1 twisted rib. So the pattern does call for a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, I believe, but I did modify it a little bit to something that I prefer. I believe the heel turn is what I changed, and I used the formula that I prefer for that. And then here's the pattern on the front of this sock. Kind of similar to the other pair, but like a little bit different. No, it's pretty different. Really cute. Lacy again. I prefer knitting lacy socks. I don't mind the odd cable. I think they look beautiful, but something about this is just, I don't know, it's easy and soothing and hard to see if I don't pull that down. I don't know, it's just really pretty. So I guess I'll pop these on the blocker real quick too, so you can kind of see where they're sitting. So yeah, I'm basically at about the same spot, like I said, and I'll continue to knit away on these. I think I know who this pair of socks and the previous ones I just showed you are going to. Like I said, they're Christmas gifts, so fun. I'm proud of myself for getting ahead of things this year. I also did wind up the yarn for my husband's Christmas socks. I just have not cast them on yet. I am missing some of my sock needles. I need to find out where I put them, because I can't really cast on socks without sock needles unless I yank them out of something else, which I really don't want to do. And I also kind of want to knit them in tandem, like both socks at the same time, but on separate needles, just so they feel like they're going a little bit faster. I have tried knitting socks 2 at a time on one needle before, and I don't like it. It's not fun. I find I'm way slower and my knitting doesn't look nearly as neat, so that is why I want 2 sets of needles so that I can do them in tandem. And I would like to cast those on soon because I'm hoping to go to a movie soon. I do really want to see Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. And we have some movie tickets that we could use. We just haven't gone and used them yet, so fingers crossed this week we can go and see that, and I will have those socks cast on to bring into the movie theater with me, because I do love knitting on a pair of vanilla socks in the theater. So yeah, that is all I have this episode. Like I said, all the socks. Kind of going back to my roots. I feel like I haven't been knitting a lot of socks lately, so this makes me feel good. Do not forget about my destash sale this coming Saturday. Keep an eye on my stories for all the information for that. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you did so. It helps the channel out a lot, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!